with the development of the whole industry, the pixel pitch is going down all the way from 3.91 to P1.5, 1.2, 0.8, and even smaller. The same size screen will have more pixels. The 4K resolution becomes more and more common for a daily project. Yeah, there are some discrepancies when people define the 4K resolution. Frankly speaking, the real 4K resolution is 4096 by 2160, but the UHD resolution is more common and is very close to the 4K resolution. Some people use 3840 by 2160 to present 4K resolution. All right, let's say now we know what is loading capacity and the most basic functions of the screen connection. With these two abilities, we can do some basic project design. And today's topic, we talked about the 4K. Yes, the 4K. So next, we are going to talk about the 4K project, the 4K project design. Well, here I share some experiences from my daily job. There are two important and necessary questions which I will ask my client when they get a new project. The first one is, what is the total resolution of the whole screen? And what is the resolution of the video source they will use? Yes. And also, yeah, some additional requirement. For the first question, I will know how many controllers or how many outputs you need. And for the second question, I can give the correct suggestion because different controllers have different type of the different input connectors. Why do I say the type of the input source is very important? Let's check it out. An example together. Let's say, what kind of options do we have when fitting a 4K resolution project? What can we use, right? Yeah, I think maybe you have lots of answers now. What are the system instructors if we use different projects to realize a 4K resolution screen? Today, we will use the 3840 by 2160 as the example to demonstrate the 4K solution design. Let's say those are the Full HD level, and this is the 4K by 1K level, and those, yeah, for the 4K by 2K level. But how can we make this solution? Let's say the first thing, if we use 4 pieces of M Control 660, we need to divide the screen into 4 parts, and each part we use one piece M Control 660 to load, which solution is Full HD level. We need to use the Ethernet cable to cascade the 4 pieces of M Control 660 in order to control them together. Regarding the video source, we need a 4K video supply cell which supports 4 synchronous video outputs to each M Control 660. Let's say this in structure. The first one, yes, this part for HD, this part for HD, this part for HD, and this part for HD. Totally, we got 4 parts for HD to make it as the 4K by 2K. I mean the UHD, 3840 by 2160. All right, and this is a software setting. This is a software setting. Here, you need to configure each sending card separately, and each sending card's loading part of the screen, but no need to set the coordinate offsite. And the video processor, and the video source will come from the video processor. I mean the splitter. All right, this is a way to use the basic sending card like 600 and 660. But what if we are going to use the all-in-one controller? Let's say the instructor. I think you will find the difference, right? You will find the difference. This is a VX4S. This is a VX4S or the Nova Pro HD, that the all-in-one controller. Let's see what is the difference. Let's see what is the difference. See here for the sending card, only, we have to use one more 4K video splicer. But for the all-in-one controller here, we don't need it. We just need the control PC and give the video source directly to the VX4S, and by using the DVI and DVI loop to the next device, right? All the things is the same. I mean, the basic instructor is same like the pure sending card. Just the difference is this part don't have the 4K video processor. And let's say still we need to do the software settings. All right, for the all-in-one controller, and it's really same as the pure controller. All the things is the same, just like the sending card part, receiving card part, and screen connection part. You won't find anything different. All right, let's say, how can we do the mosaic? You said, you don't need the 4K video processor, but how can we do it via the all-in-one controller? Here is the steps. Steps for configure the image mosaic. So the first thing, control. We use USB to control the VX4S, and also we use a USB cable for cascading other devices. And the second, what video source, DVI and DVI loop. That's the reason why we choose DVI, because for VX4S, you only got a DVI and the DVI loop. All right, configure the screen connection of each VX4S, and each VX4S is a separate screen. Yes, just as what I showed you. All right, we're back here. So what is the next move? First, for this part, we just talk how can we do it via the front panel, VX4S front panel. The first thing, set the first VX4S image mosaic. Yes, the menu image mosaic, and choose equal and total weight pixels 3840, total height and 2160. Mosaic row quantity and the mosaic row column quantity. Let's say y is 2 and 2, because we made it by, yes, the rows, the two rows here and the two columns, and that's the reason why. The mosaic row quantity and mosaic column quantity, they are 2. And one more important thing is the loading area position. The first device will load the first part, the first area position. Let's say what we have to do for the second VX4S. You can, yes, it's really hard to find the difference except the loading area position. Yes, because all the settings should be the same. Yes, even the equal, even the total weight pixels and total height pixels, and mosaic row quantity, mosaic column quantity. Just the difference is the loading area positions, number 2. Then you guys will just understand the next one will be the loading area position 3 and loading area position 4. That's the steps for configure the image mosaic from the front panel of the X4S. All right, let's say, is that the best way to make this kind of project? This is real cases. Everyone will be crazy. I think nobody want this happen because there got a lot of cables. Yeah, even the control cables, Ethernet cables, and the USB cables. Nobody wants more cables because it's really easy to get something wrong. Yes, so sometimes it will just mess all the things. Let's say, do we have a better solution? The answer is yes. Use the 4K by 1K to splice 4K. Let's say the R5, the M control R5. And this is the first control PC by, sorry, this is the control PC. This is the control PC and the USB connected the R5 by the USB or Ethernet. And also the control PC gives the video source to the 4K splicer, and the 4K splicer gave the dual link device 1 and dual link device 2 directly to those two different R5. I think the gray mask on the screen blocking content. Let's just hold on, please. Hold on a second, sorry, just. All right, I've just tried to share my screen again because I don't know what happened for the green mask. Just hold on, please. I will just try to share that again. All right, I think for now it's still there. It's still there. Hold on, I will just mute. All right, for some reason, there got some the gray block. I'm really sorry for that, but for now, we just fix that one. And for now, we just keep going. All right, as the instruction shows here, we got the control PC. Yes, we got the control PC and give the video source to the 4K video splicer, and you got two dual link DUI to different M control R5. Yes, this is a way to make it by using 4K by 1K. Yes, but if we use two pieces of M control R5, we need to divide the screen into two parts, and each part we use one pieces M control R5 to load, which resolution is 4K by 1K. This time we need to use the USB cable to cascade those two pieces of M control R5 in order to control them together. Regarding the video source, we need 4K video splicer which support two synchronous dual-link DVI outputs to each M control R5. And let's say software settings, you will find the difference. Before we use the full HD level, and we got these 2x2, right? And for now, we use 4K by 1K, we just use only 2, right? And also, we don't need to set the coordinate offsite. The video processor could give all the things to the R5. Do we have better solution? Yes, because NovaStar has the 4K, the 4K level controller and the all-in-one controller named M-Control 4K and Nova Pro UHD Junior. If we use one piece of M-Control 4K, then we can load the screen directly. If the video source comes from the 4K resolution PC, then there is no need the video processor. That means if the graphic card supports the 4K resolution, then we don't need the video processor to process the video and give the video to the M-Control 4K. We can just use it directly from the graphic cards to the M-Control 4K. Yes. Let's say, do we have any other options? Yes, we can just use one 4K all-in-one controller. But why we need the 4K all-in-one controller? Because every time we cannot make sure every graphic card supports that. Right? Not every graphic card supports the real 4K resolution. Sometimes we need to do the scale, right? Yes. So let's say the Nova Pro HD Junior, one device hold every pixels of the screen and support OpenStreet layers. And this is the instruction. We just need the 4K computer and directly to the Nova Pro HD Junior and to the 4K, real 4K screen. So let's go back to the start. We use 4 pieces of 660 and 4K video processor. Yes. Then we move to the 4 pieces of VX4S, and then we move to the 4K video processor and the 2 pieces of M-Control R5. And for now, we just simplify all the devices into one Nova Pro HD Junior. Let's say the software settings. What we only need to do is make the screen connection like this way. All right, let's say the controller we use, M-Control 660. It got 2.3 million pixels loading capacity, and it supports HDMI and DVI input. It got 4 Ethernet outputs and supports single-link DVI. For the VX4S, the same loading capacity as M-Control 660, and it got the auto scale because this is the all-in-one controller. The all-in-one controller means the sending card and the video processor together. And still, it got the 4 ports and the picture-in-picture PIP. And what's more, the M-Control R5, it supports HDMI 1.4, and the DP 1.2, and that supports 8.8 million pixels, and supports 3D and HDR and low latency. And it got the dual-link DVI and fiber outputs. And next one is M-Control 4K. It has HDMI 2.0, DP 1.2, and still it supports 8.8 million pixels and the 3D HDR low latency and dual-link DVI and fiber outputs. And the last one is Nova Pro UHD Junior, supports HDMI 2.0 in and loop. and supports 10.4 million pixels. Yes, I just this is all the controllers we have now. Yes, and the most popular one, I mean. All right, let's say this is a summary of the 4K projects. First, for the 1080p level, Full HD level, independent controller, we have M Control 660 and 600. For the all-in-one controller, we have the VX4S or Nova Pro HD. And for the 4K by 1K level, we got the M Control R5 independent controller R5. And for the 4K by 2K level, we got independent controller M Control 4K, and also the all-in-one controller, a Nova Pro UHD Junior. All right, for this part, if you got any questions, yeah, please just feel free to take them on the chat room, and we will just collect all the things and give you the answer at the end of this training. All right, for the first part, we talked about the 4K project, and for the next part, yes, sometimes we got the big events, right? We need to give the solution. I mean, we need to design how can we run that screen. But what is also important, that is when the screen got blackout issue, right? Nobody wants the screen in the event get the blackout, right? So for the next part, we are going to talk about the troubleshooting about the blackout issue. All right, let's start. We always say be friends with your receiving cards. Why we say things like that? Because we need to know all the status of the receiving card. But how can we know that? I have to say one thing, because my computer cannot show the video, and I will just make it. I will just show you the video in another way after this presentation. Okay, for the after things, I will just show you just like this, and then I will show you the. See, I cannot make it play now, but I can play it after this presentation. All right. Let's say be friends with your receiving card. So we need to know the status. Let's say the left top corner. The first situation is working normally. The receiving card working normally. The green indicator flashes once for 1 second, indicating that is the receiving card works in a normal status. And next part. Okay, for the next part. The second situation will be receiving calls working normal, but in the backup mode. That will get fast flashes 4 times in a half second. Then fast flashes again 4 times after 0.5 seconds. You can just look at this part, the left top corner, and after this PowerPoint, I will just show you the videos, and we can make it one by one. We can check it one by one. I mean, all right. It's for the network cable is not connected. This is a slow flash, 5 seconds per second. Sorry, It's just the slow flash, 5 seconds, 5 seconds. Flashes once in every 5 seconds, or flashes very slowly, indicating that the network cable is broken or the network cable is not connected. In this case, we need to check the network cable. That means the Ethernet cable, the Ethernet cable. And what about the no signal input, no signal input? When the gray indicator is first flashes 3 times in a half second, then first flash again 3 times after 0.5, I mean the half seconds. That means there is no DVI signal, so we need to check if the DVI cable works normally. I mean HDMI or DVI or other video input cable. If the PC has a video source output and the sending card works normally, after doing all the troubleshooting, we can configure out where the problem is. Let's say if I can make it play. All right, since we. Okay. All right. Then for the videos, I will show you after the presentation because it cannot play now. Yes. This part is the network cable disconnect and the no signal inputs. This is all the things here. All right, I think for this page, if you're still wondering what is the video looks like, yes, you can just follow those description. Just that working normal and flashes fast, and just during a little bit long time, again, then it working in backup mode. And if it's just like and stop and again, then the network cable disconnect. I think this will help you easily understand the things. All right, let's say the cases. Yeah, let's say the cases. For the screen blackout, when we meet the blackout issue, we may say the situation. The first one is the whole screen is black. Yes, the second one is part of the screen is black, including specific cabinet or module is black, or sending card output area just shows black. Now we can see the first one is the whole screen just black out. Yeah, and for this one, the part of the screen blackout like this way or like this way by cabinets, by modules, by one port. And first, let's say what could cause the blackout issue. If we want to locate the issue, we should take a look at the control system structure again, let's say. In this system in structure, all these factors could be a possible reason for a blackout issue. So how can we troubleshoot the issue? Let's say it. Video processor, all the things here could be the reason, but we have to make it one by one to check if all the things works and where is a faulty part. Okay, let's say the full screen blackout and a part of the screen blackout. Okay, first let's take a look at the full screen blackout. All right, here we have the chart here. Yes, we have the table to help you understand the full screen blackout issue. Here we can see the black screen tape, possible causes, details, and how to solve. All of those reasons apart from the LED display system structure. Let us check it out one by one. First, the simplest but most overlooked problem is the screen power. Before we do any other checking, first we need to make sure the screen power is turned on. And at the same time, you need to check if the power supply is adequate. And if not, change the power supply. Then we need to change the screen brightness value. There are two possibilities. The brightness of the display may be 0, so we can use the LCT software or the front panel to increase the brightness maybe to a higher value. Check it if it is okay. And another one is maybe we set the screen control to blackout. We got the screen control. We have freeze, blackout, and normal, right? We got the three method. So maybe you just make the screen control to the blackout. So just change the screen control in the software to normal to check if it's the problem. All right, if these two courses is fine, let's go to check the next part, Ethernet cable. It is possible that the Ethernet cable is loose or has some problem. Just to reconnect or just to replace the new cables. Now let's get into the sending card part. There are 3 steps we need to check. First, we need to check whether the power of the sending card is turned on. If not, remember to turn on it. And second, to see whether we choose a wrong input source. Screen blackout is likely to be due to the input source to choose wrong. Yes, that means if you got the HDMI cable in, but you just choose the source from the device is DVI. Okay. Yes, this is for the video source. Then select the corresponding input source. Then that will be fine. At last, check whether the sending card input source interface is fault. If there is a problem, change another input interface or replacement sending cards. There may be 2 problems at the receiving card part which will cause the screen blackout. The first one is the wrong RCFGX file and the wrong file or just recreate the RCFG file and upgrade the correct firmware. Yes, those are the 4 screen blackouts. This is the details and this is the solution. All right. After we know how to troubleshoot these issues, let's take a look at the details troubleshooting ideas. First, we can make the simple judgment based on the blinking of the receiving card indicator light. From the indicator light, and just as I said, be friend with the receiving card. Yes, the receiving card will tell you, what is the status now. From the indicator checks, yes, we can see the red. We can see if the red indicator let off, this means the receiving card is not powered. So we need to check and replace power supply. And if the red indicator light is on, so the power is okay, then we need to check another possible reason. So we can check the receiving card green indicator lights. As I just showed you, if the green indicator light flashes once every 5 seconds, yes, or just the flash is very, very slow, indicating that the network cable is broken or the network cable is not connected. In this case, we need to check sending card or the Ethernet cable. If the green indicator got the first flash is three times after half second, means there's no DVI signal. So we need to check the video source input or if the DVI cable works properly. If the green indicator lights normal blinking 1 time per second, this indicates the receiving card all good. But if the screen is still black, let's say the receiving card works properly, but the screen is still black, we need to check the receiving card firmware program and the configuration files, that is RCFGX files, and the brightness value. After all these problems have been checked, we can find the corresponding solution so that the black screen problem can be solved. Here, please pay attention. This is not the only idea, but it can provide a kind of suggestion reference to you. Yes. Yeah, please form a habit to observe the indicator light of the receiving card to judge the problem. Yeah, to find the problem, I mean. When you check the corresponding point, you can check the details in the previous table. All right. Yes. All right, let's say the part of screen blackout. First, we talked the full screen blackout, but for now, we're going to talk about the part of the screen. Let's say the sending card output level. Yeah, we can check the screen power. First, the cabinet power fault or the screen power of that output port is trip or fault. And the solution is change power supply. And what about the Ethernet cable? It might lose or fault. Reconnect or change the new cables. And sending card output port fault. Just to change the sending card or just to do the exchange. I mean, for example, we got the VX4S. It got 4 ports, and you find the first port just cannot. The cabinet which connect to the first port cannot show anything, but the second port works properly. So you can make the exchange to say if the problem is from the port number 1. We just need to exchange the port, then we can find it. And for the cabinet level, the first one is a power supply. Just need to change the new power unit. And for the Ethernet cable, yeah, the jumper cable lose or fault. We can do the reconnect or just change it. And for the receiving card, we've got 3 parts. The wrong RCFGX file, we can read from a normal one and send to this receiving card. Yes, if we got the wrong, sometimes we may got in one whole screen, we may got one part got the wrong different RCFGX file. So what can we do? We can just read the parameters back from the a normal one, and then send that parameters to the faulty one. And for the second part, the wrong firmware, upgrade the correct firmware. For the firmware part, we have to make sure, or you can just contact our engineer to see if this is wrong firmware caused. Or you can ask your supplier or the screen manufacturer. And for the receiving card fault, change a new receiving card and just send the old card back, and we will just fix that one. And for the hub board, the only thing is we can just change a new hub board to test if there got any hardware issue. And for the module level, for the module level, the power supply. Yes, the details is the module power fault. We can just change the power supply unit or the power cable to say if it will solve that. And for the hub board, the hub board connector fault. Yes, it's just we just need to change it. We just need to change it to say if it's still. Oh, sorry. And for the flat cable, yes, for it's same. We can just reconnect or change a new one to say if it will solve that problem. Let's say part of the screen blackout. Yes, there are 3 cases. All right. Let's say it happens on a specific output port of the sending card, then we just change to another output port to say if it works or if it's some power supply issue or sending card issue, and switch new parts and check the Ethernet cable. And let's say we got many ways. We got many ways. Yeah, here's sending card, part of the output port of the sending card. The second is happens on a specific cabinet, and the third one is happens on a specific module. Yes, for the port, for the cabinet, for the module. Here are all the ways to check. And I think if you can, please just take a note or make a screenshot. All right, let's say the summary of the blackout. The most important thing is receiving card gray indicator light. Receiving card gray indicator light. The normal, yes, flash 1 time per second, and backup mode flash 4 times at half second. Let's say those are the things. And for the screen blackout, the full screen blackout, check the receiving card indicator light, and part of the screen we need to check sending card output level and the cabinet level or the module level, and check the troubleshoot table and find the solution. Yes, the troubleshooting table we just show you. I think if you want, don't worry, if you want that, and after this training, we will just give the PowerPoint to you. All right. For now, this is all the things about the troubleshooting. If you got any questions, please just feel free to type it in the chat part. And for now, I will just go back and show you the videos that I cannot show before. Just hold on, I will just share the screen back again later.
Hey guys, once Deacon's shown these videos, I'll jump in and start mine a little bit. So stand by for a couple more minutes.
All right, I'm back now. So let's say the videos here. Let's say the video here. work normally, it will just look like this way. Yes, 1 flash per second, 1 flash per second. Let's see. Okay, and for the next part, in the backup mode, this is in the backup mode. And then the next one, the network cable is not connected. Slow flash. It's about 5 seconds. This means the network cable is not connected. And let's say, what about the no signal? And for those things, all right, those are no signal input and the network cable is not connected. And this is for in backup mode, and this is the working normally status. Those are the indicators status, and this is all the videos. If you guys got any questions, please just feel free to ask. Okay, for now, from my side, things is clear, and we've already see all the questions. And then next, I will just give the time to Nathan, and he will just give a new presentation. Yes, Nathan, please.
Thank you very much, Deacon. I'll just share my screen if I can. If you can stop sharing yours for a moment there, Deacon. Cool. Okay. Rightio. Well, thank you, everyone. Once again, my name's Nathan. I look after all the digital stuff here at ULA. Just submit, as per the email I sent out yesterday, I'm just going to cover a few extra topics that aren't getting covered as per se. So fundamentally today, I'm just going to cover some port loading limitations, talk about some of the newer Nova products, and run through a very quick overview of Smart LCT and VCAN, and chat a bit about 10-bit and HDR. Obviously tomorrow I'll go over some color settings, some calibration stuff. There's a lot to calibration, so I'm going to keep a very top level on that, and just talk about some bright dark line adjustments and also the monitoring system. One thing that a lot of you guys might be using is the Vnox and Taurus series. Look, I'm going to do that in a separate session only because there's a lot to that, and I'd rather not just brush over it. So I'll send an email out to everyone and we can discuss a further date for that. So look, one of the first things we're going to talk about very briefly is the difference between these controllers. Fundamentally, these are the independent controls without scaling and what their use cases are. Now look, the M-Control 300 is a very basic one, and same with the 600. Predominantly they're used for fixed installations of smaller screens under HD, depending on your port loading and your screen size. The M-Control 660 is the older generation that was sort of shipped out, I guess, for the rental production style industry. It's got some primitive controls on the front, but you know, you do have some function there. The newer generation controllers are the ones down the bottom, the 660 Pro. It's got the same port loading. This is where a few people get confused. It's got the same port loading as a 660, but it's got 6 ports. So basically, it lets you create some different shapes or regular shapes because you've got 6 ports to use for data, but you're still sharing the fundamental pixel load between them. A little bit confusing, but that's the way that unit works. Also, it's got some fiber ports for redundancy. Now, the thing with this box, you can basically purchase 2 Nova 660s, use one as a main, connect the second one via fiber, and then it becomes a remote unit. Unlike the other units, that's the way the 660 Pro works. So it's, yeah, it's a little bit different in that sense. The R5 and the M-Control 4K use 10 gigabit fiber to do their backup, and that's going to a CVT-KS box. So that's basically a 16-port fiber box. It looks very much like the back of an M-Control 4K, and that will work with the R5. So if you buy an R5 and need to extend it, then you're only going to get basically 8 of those ports working. The other thing as well, obviously, you can fiber extend the boxes that don't have fiber ports on them. You just need to use some media converters. But be careful to make sure that they actually work. There are certified Nova extenders, as these things don't use normal Ethernet protocols, which is the way a lot of these, the fiber converters work. Moving on from this, we then move into the scaling processes. So we sort of spoke about some of the other ones. I don't know why the image of the Ultra HD isn't showing up there. But basically, these are the current generations of scaling processors. So the VX6 has 6 ports out. The Junior, which we just spoke about, has 16 ports. It's a 4K, and then you've got the Ultra HD, which is a big baby of them all. This chart here basically shows all the loading capacities that each unit does. And look, I'll send this PowerPoint out so you don't need to worry about it. But some key things to sort of look at the end here as well. The Pro HD Junior has a 10.4 million loading capacity. And the main reason for this is it's designed, this unit's more designed for fixed installations, and it will go a lot wider, providing you've got the input sources or you're doing 2 layers. That's how you're getting that basically double 8K width on it. So yeah, some strange use case scenarios there, but the options are there. And bear in mind, this is maximum input and maximum output pixels for these things here. So once again, it's all very dependent on your input source, but that's basically the loading chart as it stands. The minimum loading down the bottom there, that basically means you can plug, if you've got LED cabinets that equal 800 by 600, you can set the video input on your sending card page in the software to 800 by 600, and your read will be that. So in essence, you could run a full screen image to an M-Control 600 without any scaling, and it'll fit to screen because your read is going to line up. But there's very rare use cases where that works anymore. Ultimately, same deal, I guess, if you're doing a HD screen, you can plug that natively into a 600 or a 660, and you won't need any scaling because you're going 1-for-1 pixels. So that's, just bear that in mind as well. I'm just going to touch over briefly on the VX6 and what it does in the new generation processors. So fundamentally, as you can see with this, there's plenty of ins and outs on this, as well as 6 ports. So it'll do extra output, extra loading over the normal VX4, I guess you could say. So that's a traditional VX4. The VX6 will do a maximum pixel size because of the 2 extra ports of that. So it will go over HD. But once again, it depends on your use case. This is a nice all-round, very powerful controller. As you can see, it's got USB, SDI, DVI, HDMI, as well as a DVI preview out. So if you want to see what's going on, you do have that DVI out option, as well as Ethernet control. It doesn't have a web GUI, but it does have Ethernet control for Smart LCT and also VCAN for presets, which I'll talk about shortly. And yeah, the unit supports 3 layers and one of OSD as well. So it's plenty powerful, and it's good just for fixed installation or even rental jobs where you just need something quick and easy to bash in and away you go. It's also got program preview, so you can use it as a live switcher in a rack or something, for those basic type of shows. Excuse me, no, I don't have corona. So yeah, just fundamental stuff there. It does have a USB player in it as well. It plays, standard sort of movie files. So if there's something there that you want to play, just as an easy source, holding slides, whatever, the option is there to use a USB source. So basically, in summary, the 6 outputs, 3 layers, it's a switch, does full HD, network control, and that there. So reasonably priced units, the predecessor to the VX4 and VX4S, and we carry stock of these as well. So they're hovering just over the 2K mark, two and a bit Aussie for these. So moving on, this is one of their latest products. It's the Ultra HD 4K scaler. So obviously it does 4K, as well as those obscure resolutions I was talking about before, up to potentially 8 and 16K wide at a very narrow screen. You'd need to layer your sources up, but it's got that option. As you can see from the back, this is the standard build, comes with DVI and a dual link DVI at the top, so it gives you that extra width if you need it, as well as 12G SDI and all the other loading. So there's plenty of options with this particular unit, and we'll support 4K. So yeah, 9 inputs, five ways of getting 4K into it, and 3 layers. So yeah, so it's pretty, it's nice, very powerful unit, but yeah, recommended for the install market more so than the live market. Now, the latest unit that Nova have released, only got released a couple of months ago, is a Nova Ultra HD. Now, this thing's predominantly targeted at the live event space, only because it's multitude of features and things that it can do. It's got, okay, so it's got all these inputs. Let me just get this PowerPoint to play ball properly. Okay, it's not playing ball. Okay, fundamentally, look, it's got a 4K sender built into it. Plenty of SDI, DP, DVI. Depends what you want, whether you want to order it with DVI or HDMI as an option, but it's there. One of the other key features of this thing is the auxiliary outputs. PowerPoint's all over the place. Sorry, it's what happens when you build stuff overnight in a hurry. You can't see it there too well, but basically there's an auxiliary output there that can be routed through the software, as well as a multi-view as standard in this. So that's standard, which is great for the live event space. Obviously, it's got an control 4K, as well as 4K fiber backup. So realistically, you can sit this at the point where all your video sources are and then run fiber to your extender to your screen location. So yeah, it's good. It's also got a redundant power supply, which comes as standard with this unit, and it also ships in a flight case as standard. So it's really designed for the event market. The other thing that this thing has as well is integrated software. So basically, when you get this unit, it's got a keyboard and mouse on it and a monitor, and all of the functions can be done within the unit. You don't need anything external. So you can save your presets, change all your preview windows around. The software is really powerful and lets you do a lot of things with it. So once again, great for that event space. And as a go-to, if I had my choice, I'd have one of these sitting in my kit because they're just a really handy unit to do. You know, you can, because they can do 6 layers, you can easily run, you know, 3 main screens with a PIP on it or something and still have a bit of headroom to play with. So yeah, 16 outputs, additional features as well. It's got Genlock, which a few of the other ones do as well. We'll support 10-bit and 12-bit video sources. Does a rotation if your cards support it, as well as all the inputs and outputs. So there's plenty of stuff there for that. Now, this is a brand new product that Nova's releasing. This is a H series. This was pretty much got released last week. This is targeted at the fixed install market once again. Pretty cost effective for what it is. Currently there's a H5 and H9 product that's available. And as you can see from the pictures, it's slot your cards in, input or output. And yeah, it's just a really good box if you've got some large format solutions for fixed installations. You've just got options here to put different cards in or out. Fundamentally, there are 16 output cards, so it's a 4K per slot. And depending on the size of the frame, you can load them up accordingly. So there's some really good options there for that. Same with the H9, as you can see, it's a bit bigger again. And the slots, it's all dynamic, so you can change the slots to be whatever. Control for this is via a web interface. So, and also you've got a touch front panel on it that you can do a few bits and pieces with as well. But realistically, you've got the web interface to do your main control points on that. As you can see, the cards, there's SDI coming. The IP card's going to get some extra protocols added to it shortly as well. That will allow, you know, some of the more standard video IP-based protocols. There's also a preview card in there as well. That's an option. So as you can see there from the different size frames, you can see the output cards there. So, you know, if you've got the big frame with 10 output cards, that's 10 4K screens that potentially you can run off this. So yeah, I've got more detailed information about this product. If you'd like it, let me know, and I'm happy to run you through that. Now I'm going to touch on Smart LCT and VCAN. So some of you may have used these two pieces of software. VCAN's predominantly for doing presets or basically control of the scaling processes, the newer generation stuff, or even some of the older ones. So it'll talk to the VX4s or the VX series, the Ultra HD Junior, and some of the other processors that we're not even covering in here, the J series, the N series. That's some of the other products that Nova have. So look, I'll just fire up VCAN to give you an idea. So this is VCAN in a nutshell. So if you hit the device tab, you can see the devices that this thing supports. And you can also do program, preview, take sort of scenarios. Once again, it depends on, you can change your layout, you can change the way that this thing works, whether it's a switcher, whether it's a program mode. For example, let's just take the Ultra HD. So if I click on that, you'll see all the sources that are in there. You can build up your layers, you can do whatever. And then you can save these as a preset. If you just right click there and go save as preset 1, and so forth. So the advantage in saving presets is if you're installing these units into a venue or something, you can save these presets and then call them via Crestron or another similar control source across a network using standard IP commands. So, you know, VCAN's, a lot of the people that I'm selling the VX series and juniors to, I'm just basically, because they're asking for network control and how they're going to drive these things over the network. And fundamentally, I'm saying, look, just get up VCAN, build your presets up. You can have, I think, 32 presets, and then just recall those presets on your Crestron. Rather than trying to stuff around and doing other things, just keep it really easy. Build your presets in here, call them in your Crestron or other app. And that way, your end user isn't going to have the ability to go in and play with stuff, which is ultimately what you want. There's really not much else to VCAN. Get in and have a play. As I said, this is just the offline mode, but you can see the limitations. As soon as I start overlaying this with layers, it'll come up and say you've got the maximum layers. So the software will only let you do so much, but it's limited to fundamentally the hardware limitations of the device. So yeah, once again, I think I told you all to download this. Feel free to go have a play. So at least you can get your heads around that. Now, the other piece of software that I'm going to talk about is Smart LCT. Now, I don't know whether many of you have played with this. Fundamentally, Smart LCT is a more graphical way, I guess, to build screens. I use this a lot when I'm just trying to do basic project designs for customers, if I just need to understand port loadings and how the screen's going to work and build. So for this, you just basically create an offline project. And if you do, incidentally, if you do have processors on your network and online, they'll appear on the device list. And if they have screens, they're there. So you can actually double click and it'll take you straight into that processor and you can see what's going on. But for the moment here, I'm just going to create a new project. You can pick the processor that's actually going to drive it. So for this case, I'll go and control 4K. And then you can basically build up this library here of panels that you have. So you can hit management, just hit new, and you can just put a cabinet name in there, pixel size. And this information here does become relative in a later part. So it doesn't hurt to put as much information in here as you can. But for this example here, I'm just going to choose our wallpaper 3.1. And I'm just going to say it's 5x5 and the screen resolution is that of the 4K and auto connect. So if I hit OK, it will drag it on the wrong monitor. Of course it does. So as you can see there, it's basically given me a 5x5 screen, it's automatically mapped it to the way that it thinks it should. And if you zoom out, you can see that that's sitting in the 4K pixel space because it's just all the way over there. So it's quite a small screen. Once again, I'll zoom out a little bit more so I can see the full 4K window. And I might decide I want to add some more cabinets in there. So I can just go to, I can pick a different pixel pitch. So I'll just say I want to add that. And as you can see, it's automatically connecting. Well, it's suggesting the automatic connection method, but right now it's doing nothing. So it's just a matter up here of picking the ports and clicking the way I want to run it. If you hit this little button down here, it'll actually show you the port loading. So this is, you know, if I do this, if I start to do that, see how it maxes out? And that's what we were talking about back in the first session about maintaining a square or rectangle for your screens. And this is a really good way to visualize the limitations of the port loading if you come into here and just play with it. Because if you notice there, as soon as I go over another row, it'll basically wig out. So that's, you know, that's one of the advantages of this. The other thing as well, obviously, you can get creative. So if you're doing offsets or strange things with your screen, this gives you the ability to shuffle things around. Now, bear in mind, see how my loading capacity has gone over because I've dragged that away? It's still calculating all the pixel space in this gray area. So you need to be mindful that you still have limitations. So even though your pixel loading on your cabinet isn't that high, it's still calculating the gray space in there. So just don't think, oh, I'm only going to run 6 or 7 cabinets off a port and space them out. It won't necessarily work like that. But it is a really good visual tool if you want to get creative with it. And over here, you can manually see the offsets as to where these cabinets are sitting as well. You can go in and tweak with brightness and gamma stuff as well, which I'll cover off tomorrow. But all I'd really use Smart LCT for is designing your screen and pushing it out, and even building offline things. One of the other cool features that this thing has is actually project you can do an export. That'll save cable mapping, power usage based on the cabinet type. It's a really quick visual thing if you want to give to a crew or a builder or something and say, look, this is the way it's mapped, this is the way you're going to run your cables. As I said, I use this as a very quick tool for doing projects just for customers. Another thing in here as well is you can do all the redundant stuff in here. So if you hit the hot backup, that's your device. It's not going to let me do it. Oh, sorry, it will. So that's the 4K device there, and you can literally just drag and drop your ports as to where your redundancy is, and hit save, and that'll send it to the port. So it's a really visual, easy way to do backups for gigs. So once again, it depends what you're familiar with. Ultimately, LCT is going to let you get more creative and more in depth with your cabinets, you know, your receiver card and that sort of stuff. If you just need something that you can just go in, build your cabinet, send it out, and get creative, then I'd probably recommend Smart LCT. And obviously, this does run on a Mac as well. So for all you people out there running Macs, this could be a solution for you to do stuff there. So look, that's all I've got on Smart. As I said, it was a very, very quick run through on that. I'll just show you an example of like a detailed project that I worked on. I'll just exit this, stand by. So this one here, like, you know, to give you an example, that was just something we did with different size cabinets running on 2 4K senders. You can see it's got all the redundancy and backup set up already. And you can see the port loadings there between the 2 different senders as well. So, you know, as I said, it's handy for doing obscure projects and all sorts of things. So that's, look, that's Smart in a nutshell. Going back to the PowerPoint, 10-bit HDR, blah, blah, blah. Why do I say blah, blah, blah? There's a lot of hype, a lot of what is HDR, what is 10-bit, what do I need? Some of you video guys out there would know all too well what 10-bit and HDR is. It means a lot of pain and heartache because not many sources are actually HDR compliant or running 10-bit. Predominantly everything's 8-bit that we used to, because to start running 10-bit and HDR, you need a whole new program chain and control chain. The 4K, the Ultra HD, Ultra H Junior all support HDR and 10-bit. as do some of the other controllers, but fundamentally, you're going to need a whole program chain that supports it as well as specialized content, especially for HDR. And then the flip side of that, not all LED screens are going to be capable of running HDR as well. You've got limitations. You need to make sure you have the right receiver cards. The A8S and the A10S series in Nova are about the only ones that support HDR. And they're going to be calibrated accordingly as well, because to technically hit HDR, you need to have a peak brightness of 1000 nits. You need to have the right LEDs. There's a lot of in-depth technical detail around HDR. And I've only seen it used in a couple of real world scenarios, apart from movie theaters, where HDR has been practical. Unless you've got a dedicated setup in the live event world, I don't think anyone's producing temporary HDR content for events at the moment, nor do I see that happening anytime soon, because it's not easy work, nor is it cheap to shoot and produce stuff in HDR. So, look, yeah, happy to have a private conversation with anyone that wants a bit more information about 10-bit and HDR and how it all works. We do have some demo screens running in our showrooms running 10-bit and HDR. They look great, but you know, I'm needing dedicated media players, dedicated content to get them to work, and there's a bit to get them going. So look, I'll end it there, but obviously I'm sure there's some questions and Q&A stuff. So yeah, so look, happy to answer any questions if anyone's got anything, if they want a bit more detail on anything I've done there. I know I was rushing through that, and there's a lot to cover, but as I said, I'll send this presentation out, and I'll probably put a few questions in the exam as well for everyone to pass. I'm just reading the questions now because I couldn't get it up. I'm in Queensland at the moment, guys, and I don't have corona. I've been tested, so it's fine. For pricing, yeah, I'm happy to talk to people about pricing on the products. VCAN doesn't need to be online. It basically save your presets, save the hardware. For LCT, Adrian, you just need to build the cabinets and the presets. Just hit that screen management, hit the plus button, and you can build your own cabinets in there. The actual exam, Jory, we'll probably share the link out after tomorrow, and you guys can take it on Friday in your own time. It'll just be online, multi-choice, a few little, look, it's not going to be a hard exam, but yeah. Just reading Smart LCT. Yeah, fundamental. Well, the thing is, with that last question there, you're not sending RCG files to the screen. All Smart LCT sending is pixel sizes, and you can do that with any screen. You can have different cabinets as long as you're not sending separate RCG files to all your panels. That's where you'll run into troubles. There's no problems doing different screens with different resolutions on the one controller, as long as you don't send the config files to all the screens. That's when you'll come into problems. In relation to the indicator lights, it's more down to a vendor level. There was an option on some receiver cards to turn the light off, and you can get customized firmware options to disable that light on the back of the cabinet. But I talked to your screen vendor about that. If there's no other questions at the moment, guys, I'm happy to end it, or I've got some more stuff that I can talk about, but I'll probably save that for tomorrow. Edgar, no, for Smart LCT, it won't do that. It'll always start at 0, 0, because that's what it thinks you want it to do. The only way around that, basically, we'll put a dummy cabinet in there as well. Actually, one thing I might just show everyone, I'll just fire up LCT, stand by, and just talk about blank cabinets in the screen configuration as well. That's something you may not know about. Waiting. Okay. So obviously when you go in here, I'll just go into demo mode. So when you have a screen, we'll just configure one screen here. 4x2, that's fine. So something you might want to do, and this still affects your input loading as well, is you've got an option here to go set blank. So if it'll basically calculate the pixel space where those two panels would be, but it just gives you the option if you're getting creative on some projects or you're pulling stuff out, you've got an option to set particular panels blank. So yeah, just something you may or may not known about, but there's that option there to do blanking as well, and that's what that little box does there. In relation to running multiple screens, so look, this is all 128 cabinets. I can just tell it I want to do a second screen. I want to keep it on the same sending card. You can even keep it on the same port. It'll automatically pick up the next port, and I can make that one there 160 or 60 by 160, doesn't really matter. 4x4. And you can see there, it'll automatically pick up the next port. Sorry, I'll just zoom in on this. It's going to let me. So you can see there, it's picking up the next sending cards, carrying over from the previous page. So if you go sending screen card 1, you can see there it ends on 17, and then it'll pick it up on 18 because I'm still on the same port. As soon as I go to another port, it'll start at card 1. So yeah, that's a few little tips there. Any other questions from anyone? Feel free to ask. Coffee, yeah, time for coffee. Stephen, I'll respond to you privately about that one. You probably need to reach out to your manufacturer. They should be able to send you an updated file or work with new versions. And